So, ordinarily, a draw against Napoli wouldn't be a bad result, but Harry, given their fixture pile-up, is it actually not a good night for Liverpool?
No, not really. Because for me, they've only lost one game this whole year, and that was against Napoli as well. So for me, coming into this game, it was always going to be an important game because Napoli obviously wanted to win it. They've got some great, fantastic players. It was always going to be a tough game. And with the fixture list as well, obviously he would have loved to have won it, but now obviously not winning it puts him in a difficult position because he's going to have to go out there now to Salzburg and get a result.
How priceless, given their fixtures in December, would it have been for that game to have been a dead rubber? Put it away as much physically as mentally. Put it away, rest.
Well, again, it's a Champions League game, so I still believe a lot of the players would want to play it. But again, it just eases that pressure. You know, he could have rested a few players, you know, travelling as well, especially with the upcoming games. So again, it's something that he would have loved, but I'm sure he would have been prepared for the worst outcome. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yep.
You know, and he ended up getting the draw.
He'd love an ideal world, but you just, you know, look, with the amount of fixtures they've got, it's just not going to be that way. Everybody wants to beat Liverpool at the moment. They've gone from, they've been so good over the last couple of seasons. They've now become the team to beat, the team to try and turn over. Every time a Liverpool team take to the field now, they're
a trophy, aren't they, in themselves?
There's another layer of pressure, Jeff, that's applied. So it would have been ideal, of course, to go to Salzburg, not necessarily having to sweat or fret over it, but that's not going to be the case. So they're just going to have to get on with it. I think at the moment they've got so many fixtures coming at them, and when you look at that, that's an incredibly tough period. But if any team have the kind of mentality at the moment, or
they never say die.
The right kind of players to cope with a situation like that, I think he has. I think he's got those guys that never give it up, that keep going, that play with great heart and courage every time they play. And they're going to need all of that in December.
Is it far from done? I mean, they've got to basically avoid defeat and they're through. But Salzburg, they're free scoring. We know that.
Well, Salzburg seemed like a team that have no fear. And we watched the game, especially when they played at Anfield. And I felt Liverpool kind of were in second gear. And you don't want to say that. And then when they actually stepped up, they got their couple of goals, but then they relaxed again. And then as soon as they relaxed, Salzburg, they kept on putting the pressure on, the crosses kept on coming in, and they had chances actually to win the game. So I think they're going to have to be careful about this.
What's their mentality is obviously, as a player, you can't go somewhere looking to avoid defeat, can you? You've got to go and try and win the game.
You go and try and win the game. Listen, if with 10 minutes left, you can start to assess exactly. There'll be those messages coming from the bench on what's happening in the other game, etc., in the last game in the group. So, yeah, you've got to keep playing, Jeff, and then take the last 10 minutes as it comes. If that's all you need, whatever you have at that particular time, then you can hang on to that. They're good enough, Liverpool, now to, I think, to manage games like that. I think previously that might have been a problem for them where we're getting over the line, but I think now they're a different outfit in that respect, and I think they can go and try and win the game, see where the game takes them, and then quarter of an hour left, then we start to assess it all from there.
I mean, they're no strangers. I think they went to match day 6 last 2 years on the trot.
Definitely.
So. Look, it's also good sometimes to, you know, go to a game knowing that you have to win. You know, because we've seen teams go somewhere and they think, oh, well, we can go for a draw somewhere, and it turns out far worse than what they've actually imagined. So again, they've got to go out there, they've got to get a result. So I'm sure we'll see. How
well do you think Liverpool played tonight, or otherwise?
Again, for me, they started a bit slow. And I know, look, it was a bit dubious, the goal, and it was a fantastic goal that Napoli scored. But then, like I said, it's this power that Liverpool brings, especially in the second half of every game that I've seen this year. They just keep coming, and they kind of pin teams in their own half and they can't get out. Doesn't matter how many people you have behind the ball, there's no outlet. Every time there's a ball that plays long, there's a Liverpool player picking it up, and there again, you're seeing Mane, Salah, Firmino constantly running them, and if they're not running at them, Alexander's running at there, Robertson's running at there. I know he didn't start tonight, Trent, but he came on and he was going. They're just constantly, and their power just gets stronger and stronger as the game's finishing.
I think I'm surprised the goal stood, Mertens' goal. Brilliant finish, but I'm surprised he was looking at Van Dijk. When the ball was in the air and Van Dijk's under it and he's about to head it, Mertens knows can't win that battle, and he's just eyeballing the player, and he just gives him a clever little nudge. I was surprised that one stood. I was very, very surprised that they didn't turn that over.
I mean, Napoli, they're supposed to be a team, internal strife, falling out with the owner, sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Wasn't a sign of it,
They've
was there?
got good players. They got powerful players. They, as Harry said, they've beaten this team. They come up against tonight. So they're a very, very useful team. Was never going to be an easy fixture, that one. That was always going to be a real tough one. And so it proved. But Liverpool, again, showed great resilience, and that I think when you're on those sort of runs that they're on, you keep going and you just feel you can eventually claw it back, but not quite enough to win it.
Another negative as well is the sight of Fabinho hobbling off. We don't know how bad. An ankle injury to him. How important is he to Liverpool? I know they've got options in midfield, but how important is he?
Huge, because obviously he's been what they're calling the sponge. He's just soaking up everything, and then when he receives the ball, he's actually playing forward. And that's a lot of things like holding midfielders don't do. It's that first pass, creating forward, which then puts your team straight on the attack. It's a big loss, but again, I'm confident in the players that he has in his squad to kind of fill in. So I'm sure they'll be comfortable.
There's one player, Jeff. If Liverpool are going to lose something, that is an area, as Harry says, and the way that they play, he's not a beautiful architect, Fabinho, with the ball. He's a powerful man, again, as he breaks things up. But they've got others that can come in there and do something very similar. Maybe not quite as well, but it won't alter the way that Klopp has to go about setting his team up.
How testing is this period coming up for Liverpool? Because you actually see positives in it, don't you? When we look at that fixture list once again, you actually see something that could help their season massively.
Well, I do, and I look at it and look, you never take any game for granted,
no.
Right? And you're looking at these upcoming fixtures. I mean, you got Brighton at home, and we'd look at that and you say, on paper, Liverpool should win that game, even though Brighton can cause problems. Then you've got the derby, right? That's a big game, so everybody's going to be up for that game. Then for me, if they get through these two games, they're starting to be on, again, this period for December. I think Bournemouth's going to be the tough one for them, because I think Bournemouth down there, they're strong, they're physical. You don't know what you're going to get. Like I said, they've caused the top team some problems this year. And if they get through these ones here, they're just going to feel stronger and stronger and stronger.
But then, obviously, hopefully, they'll go to Salzburg, they'll get the job done, and then they will. They split basically, don't they? It's the reserves or the youngsters at Aston Villa, and you almost see that as like a winter training camp, don't you? That World Club Championship.
I do, and I think it would be a nice little break for them. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's still a competition that they've got to win, because, like I said, the only way to qualify for this cup is to win the Champions League. So they are going to take it seriously. But again, going away in the sun, a bit of sun on your back, bit of relaxing training, and then you've got two games out there. I think it'll be a nice little winter break for them before the actual winter break.
And then Boxing Day, Leicester. I mean, that is teed up to be a fantastic game right now. That is, Brendan Rodgers doing an amazing job, I think, at Leicester. They're such a good team to watch. I think that could be a great game. Then Wolves and Sheffield United end of December and into the new year. Every game, as I said, every one that's coming at Liverpool at the moment is a real mammoth task.
Whenever Jurgen Klopp is asked about managing the fixtures, upcoming team selection, etc., he has a blanket response. He says, all we are focusing on is winning the next game. Winning the next game. Right, I see you grinning. Are you doubting him? Because surely you can't. When you've got that many games in such a short space of time, you've got to start thinking about, realistically, physically, what these players are capable of.
That's a stock standard answer. And he would probably, for a player, that's all you've got to think about is the next game that you're actually going to play. He would know exactly his plan. There's no question about it. He's not going to tell everybody,
no,
but he would know exactly what he's going to do for this whole December period.
Stating the obvious, but is it just physically not possible to play your strongest team every single week? Same players?
I think it's down to him and his staff. I mean, you look at the way that they're playing. Like, you look at Mane, you look at Salah, Firmino, and we're all thinking, are they going to get their rest? Everyone's talking about, oh, strikers need rest. These players are constantly playing, even international as well, constantly playing. So he's doing something right, and these players are wanting to play as well, not sitting there going, you know what, I'm tired. They're constantly wanting to play, so he's doing something right.
I think Harry's right. I think he will have it. He will have it mapped out to a degree, Jeff, on players that he'll know. Of course, everything they're doing during the week now will be monitored right down to the very last detail to make sure that they're not stressing their bodies out slightly unnecessarily in between matches. Everything will be meticulously planned, and players that have topped it really in terms of that they've played more times and more appearances than others, he'll be very aware that he's got to give those guys a little bit of a breather. But you know what, to all intents and purposes, the team doesn't really change a tremendous amount, does it? It doesn't change a tremendous amount.
That's the question I'm asking.
It doesn't.
Is it possible?
You might have Origi coming in for one. You might have Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain coming in for one here and there. Milner can step in every now and again, as he probably might have to a bit more now with Fabinho, depending on how bad that is. At full-back positions, you've got Joe Gomez can come in and play one or two here and there to give them all a bit of a breather. But fundamentally, that team, I don't think is going to change significantly right the way through.
Unless injuries. Unless, of course.
Still going through for your money? Next round? Knockouts?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah.